Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Monday, let's see, the 25th day of March, 2024. Well, I hope you got to see the full moon last night at midnight, or at 12:01 or whenever. There was a penumbral eclipse going on, so it just kind of looks fuzzy on the edges. So it's not like an actual eclipse, but, well, I mean, it's an actual eclipse, but not the kind where you see the shadow pass in front. But anyway, that was kind of interesting. So let's go ahead and we didn't get to get a whole lot of stuff done this weekend because it was cold and really windy. That's one of the things of living on the high desert. You get a lot of wind and, big gusts up to these horrendous amounts. I got caught one time in a dust devil, a whirlwind. I saw it coming across the neighbor's property, and I was on the driveway, and that part of the driveway is next to our big pasture. And boy, I just stood there and I waited because there was nowhere I could go because I noticed it too late. And I just sat, I hung on to the fence. I don't know why, but I did. And it went through me. It went, and into my pasture and continued to whirl about there for a little while till it just sort of dissipated. I don't think it really went to the other neighbor's place, so it was a short-term one. But my husband's been on a motorcycle when one's gone past. He's gone right through it. That was interesting too. But I gotta say, it was an odd feeling to just stand there and let that pass over me and beyond me. It was just very, very interesting. So I don't even know what else to say about it, really. But anyway, let's go ahead and let's see, where's my Geomancy runes? They're right here. Oops, I lost my screen there. I don't know why I keep doing that. I mean, it's still videos. Everything's still there. It's just the screen is everything moves off the screen. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started here, and we'll take the runes to get us started as the overall focus or significators of the reading. The Elder Futhark rune will be the higher self side or the above side, and the Geomancy runes will represent the below side or the ego side of things. Because that's, as I've said before, that's really that's kind of the foundation for my readings, is looking at the difference between higher awareness and ego and the impact that has on your focus, your perceptions, your vision, your reactions. If it's all ego-based, then you're going to be very reactive, not necessarily knowing the whole picture and making judgments when you really should just wait. And that feeling of let's wait to get more information, that's more of a higher vibratory thing. So that's higher awareness saying, well, wait a minute, let's know more before we come to some kind of conclusion about what this is. And so we're going to start today off on the higher side with Hagalaz. Hagalaz is the ninth rune of the Elder Futhark. Now, this is one of the three Norn runes. The Norns were the witches or the divine beings that the lower divine beings, I should say, that gave the runes to Odin as he hung upside down from the world tree to gain enlightenment. Well, they were the ones who did that and gave him the Elder Futhark, essentially. And so Hagalaz is known as the witch rune. It's the Norn rune of the past. Nathiz would be the Norn rune for the future. And Isa would be the Norn rune of the present moment. And again, this is transformation within a fixed framework. It also means hail. It's thought to be the celestial ice egg, if you will. It's about protection and luck, and it's useful in trance work. You can use this as a visualization to enter into the center of Hagalaz as like a doorway into transformation, for example. But essentially, I just view it as, even though the key word is hail, if you think about it, it's transformation within a fixed framework. It's not, I mean, it can destroy a lot of stuff, but there's still something remaining after it melts, right? And that's the idea behind any kind of witchcraft or anything. You're trying to transform things into a higher vibratory space. it bringing things to a higher level of balance and getting it out of the ego's reaction, basically. That's what that's really all about. And focusing your intention to raise the energy to that type of a level. Well, that's what Hagalaz is doing. It's suggesting today that there's going to be something of a higher transformative awareness of some kind, maybe, that's going to maybe alter your perceptions in some way. It doesn't change your values or your principles or anything like that. So that's your structure, right? But how you see things may change today in a really profound way, given that it's a Norn rune. I view the Norn runes in the Elder Futhark as holding more weight and more value as all the rest of them. So you get one of those in a reading, or even if you get all three of them in a reading, it's like, okay, it's like it's like the major arcana on steroids, basically, where soul is saying, okay, we need to pay attention to these ideas here today. So let's throw down the 4 elemental geomancy runes. I'll put them in the order of fire, air, water, and earth. Oh, okay, so we have Vaya. Now, Vaya is, you've got Vaya on one end of the idea, and Populus on the other. Let me get out Populus and show you Populus too. Always in Geomancy, you're looking at 8 concepts, and but you end up with 16 runes because there's 2 ideas, 2 extreme ends of each idea. And in this case, with Vaya, you're looking at single dots all the way down. So it's all active presence. It's directional. It's intentional. Taking a new path, initiating the new path, walking it alone if need be. And whereas Populus on the other end is the follower. It's a passive influence because you see 2 dots there for each level, and for fire, air, water, and earth. And so it's the passive influence of those. So instead of being the leader on the path or taking initiative to go on a path on your own, you're going to follow here with Populus. So that's kind of the 2 ends of that type of an idea there. But for today anyway, we're going to get my chair here a little bit closer. We've got essentially maybe transforming perception that may take you in an entirely different direction today, where maybe you're returning to something you used to believe, and then somehow or another you decided to believe something else, or maybe you were hanging out with people that had other ideas and you were exploring all of that and how that felt to you. And now something higher self is suggesting, well, now wait a minute, it's time to take a new path on your own and to return to some independent thinking. There is really not influenced by anything other than higher awareness. It kind of leaves the ego in the dust, basically. And it's just like, well, you don't really have an effect on me right now. I'm not going to be in the reactive mode. I'm going to be in the higher awareness mode today. And that's where the transformation is going to come from. But let's take a look at the cards here to give us a little more detail about this. Well, we have the Ace of Swords, we have Judgment, and we have the 3 of Wands. I think what I'm going to do here, I'm going to talk about the idea of judgment first, I think. The thing about the aces is they hold all of it's said anyway, that they hold all of the energy of the entire suit that they represent. And so with the Ace of Swords, you're talking about the air element and intellect and communication, justice, balance, fairness, truth, deception, all of that. And it contains all of it. You see the hand reaching out from the cloud there, and you see, let's see, one is an olive branch and one is a palm frond. And you see it's piercing the crown. And so the crown it's not about royalty. It's about higher awareness and about spirit and collective consciousness and the creator and all of that. And so it's the unseen hand talking about the genesis of all of that today, something new intellectually. But let's just leave that there for now. Let's talk about judgment. Now, judgment is the 20th card of the major arcana. Now, if you look at 20 and you reduce that to 2 and 0 is 2. It's reductionism is what it is, and that's what you do in numerology. You're looking at balance. And that's you can also be about love and reciprocity and healing and all of that. So you might look at it in terms of healing and balance. Let's just say that. And here you have the angel Gabriel sitting atop a cloud, blowing his horn, waking everybody out of their slumber in their caskets, and see everybody standing up and looking at the angel above. And you can see some water in the background. Some of them are floating on the water. Maybe all of them are. You can't tell here in these right here. These could be sitting on the ground, but you got a couple caskets back there that are actually floating on the water. So there's the element of healing there with this, with the water element. But with judgment, it's not I don't like the word. There's some other decks that are less traditional, we'll say, that are not rider weight based, that talk about this in a different way. They call it like eon, I believe, or rebirth. I know Druidcraft calls it rebirth, and I think that the Thoth Tarot, Crowley's Thoth Tarot, I think he calls it eon, Aeon, eon. And so, but with here, I think that the signifier is the pennant here, the flag with the cross here. And to me, what the cross shows is the vertical line is the vertical line of spirit infusing into form. So it's the balance between and here would be the masculine and feminine polarities. And well, that's part of physical reality. That's not part of the soul aspect. That's after you get here. And so we're trying to find a balance between the masculine and feminine, or the projective and receptive energies within. And we're trying to then integrate that with the soul infusing into form. And so that's the real balance. And so trying to, because we have that veil, we go through the veil, right? The veil of forgetting. And so we don't remember necessarily. I think children do. And I think some of us always know that there's more to who we are than just simply the body and all of that. But then eventually you start exploring that idea, and you discover that other people think the same thing, that there's more to it, that we're actually souls. And the rest of this is just all about how do we integrate that soul into the body in a way that actually can make the soul maybe more of the driver of things instead of the ego driving things, because that seems to be the dynamic. That's the real polarity that we have to contend with on a daily basis. And now that we're in this time, the so-called time of ascension, ascension can mean a lot of different things, but I think it begins with having this awareness of who you actually are, and then trying to see things from that perspective instead of always allowing the ego to essentially judge. And here it's just as you rise up out of the coffins here, the perception is changed, and there's a rebalancing effect of judgment, in other words. And if you want to think of it in terms of, substitute the word rebirth, you're rebirthing into who you actually are, and discovering the actual balance that you were able to maintain here. And that takes the idea of judgment out of it, right? To where you're not going to basically call everything, whatever it was, I was mean to this person, or you go through the whole life review. It doesn't have the same type of effect or impact. It's just, well, how'd that work? How'd that go for you? And how did you manage that? And so you can take a look at it and see what happened. And it's not a time of fear or anything. It's just how'd it go? And I think that they're awakening to who they actually are as souls. And so I think that in the reading, then, judgment is going to align very well with Hagalaz, and making that transformation here today, that transformation of understanding of who you are as a soul versus just the reactive ego, and getting comfortable with that idea. And then the genesis of new ideas with the Ace of Swords, the new beginnings here, can take place, where you understand the balance that you need to strike, that the masculine and feminine polarity is part of it, but the true balance you need to strike is between soul and ego, or soul and physical reality. All right. And from there, when you understand that, then things start to change. New perceptions start to take hold. And you begin to see things differently, perceive things differently. And then from there, Now, usually when I talk about this card, I talk about the 2 first. The 2 is, in fact, let me see if I can find it very quickly here. Because I think it shows a progression here of with the 2 where he's turned in the opposite direction, and he's trying to decide what his future is going to be. And then in the 3, we see he's made his choice, and he's now waiting for his ship to come in, essentially. Or he's maybe he's still trying to consider other options. But I just believe the choice has been made. 2 can be about choice and decisions. And I think the decision was made there. And here it is. And he decides that he's going on to new things. So here, you see he's looking out he's holding the globe in his hand. So he's exploring everything, all of his ideas. This is the Suit of Wands, by the way. And it's about the fire element versus the swords. The Ace of Swords is the air element. And so fire and air, they're both considered masculine or projective energies. And so it's initiative. You're taking initiation here to go along in terms of via a new path, a new direction you can then choose some other kinds of opportunities that maybe reflect that here in the 2. And then in the 3, the same man is standing looking out over the bay. You can see ships here. Now, instead of blue water, you have yellow, and you have a completely yellow sky. That shows the fire element, essentially. Very dynamic, very all-encompassing in terms of his of what he's doing here. But you see 2 staffs here instead of 1 staff here being affixed to the wall and holding another, but he's still going through a doorway into a new direction, onto a new path, having to do with opportunities, right? The same thing here. He's made the decision, and this time with the 3 of Wands, you've got the 2 affixed, almost growing, continuing to grow out of the earth here, and he's walked through that doorway, and he's holding on to his staff here basically of initiation in a way, and he's waiting for the opportunities that he's selected in the 2 to manifest, essentially. And so I think for today, I think this is a really simple idea here. The idea that something can happen that's transformative, that comes from higher awareness, that rejects the reactive ego. And so it's truly something where maybe it's a flash of insight, for example, where maybe you realize, you know what, I'm on the wrong path here. I need to go and do something differently here. And that path is opening for me with Vaya. And then the new ideas flow, right? And you've already understood that this is a time for healing and reflection, and to consider that to bring yourself into a balance that you've not had in a while. So actually we should probably start with that. And then the new ideas flow from there. And the new perceptions flow from there. And the new path opens from there. And then from there, you're able to manifest a new reality for yourself, new opportunities, new wealth, new creativity, all kinds of things associated with the fire element, that the opportunity manifests and yields something wonderful and positive for you, whatever it is. I mean, it can mean a new job. It could mean maybe opening a business. It could mean maybe choosing from different colleges you want to go to. It just could be. But the idea is now you're thinking in a different direction, with maybe, again, some flash of insight that it just comes to you. And that could be the Hagalaz experience talking there. And you decide, you know what? I want to go do this. I want to go explore these ideas. And again, you do it by understanding. You bring yourself into a higher balance when that happens. So you're going to be connecting Hagalaz, that whole transformative moment, with judgment, where you connect those 2 ideas together and those 2 energies together, and you're ready to understand the truth of everything. And again, reinforced by the Ace of Swords, perhaps understanding the truth of everything. That could be the same thing here with the Ace of Swords. And once you do, you're ready to embark on something entirely new. and to manifest something new, from a place of higher awareness, instead of the ego constantly trying to pull you down into its reactiveness and into its judgmentalness. And again, we can't think of the judgment card as that, as being judgmental. It's just about looking and evaluating where you've been and where you want to go next, because the life is this is just one level of your experience as a soul. There's other things going on. You're in other places in reality. Your soul is just your oversoul, if you will. It just extends little pieces out to become these other lives that you live, and it's all happening at once, which is an odd thing to say, but it's all happening at once, and all you're really doing is stepping into those awarenesses, and that's what you're doing, and you're observing it as a soul. Well, but you're not just a soul in them, especially if you're here in 3D. You're actually a body, and you're doing things, and you're learning things, and you're expressing yourself, and depending on how ego-minded you are, it could be quite reactive and quite, keeping you firmly here in the physical realm, when that isn't what you are. Releasing that hold that the physical realm has on you, and allowing yourself to be aware of the spirit, the soul within, and to listen to that inner voice that's there, that's always there to guide you. And I think that with judgment, you're waking up to that, and you're experiencing a rebalancing effect. And that may be the most, and I think that that's probably the most significant relationship between judgment and the major arcana card judgment and Hagalaz, is that awakening to that fundamental truth of who you are, and allowing all that to settle in and to explore the world from that standpoint, instead of being pulled here and there by whatever, it's like my husband used to say, squirrel in or you shake keys in front of a baby's face and suddenly they stop crying. It's like you've changed their perspective, right? And now their focus and their attention is on something else, and they forget to be upset, they forget to cry, right? And so you see the tears dry up, and pretty soon they're laughing, and again, it's that shift of perception that I think Hagalaz is suggesting that needs to happen today. So think about this and see if this applies to you in some way. Maybe over the next couple of days. We've got the full moon again tonight in this crone phase, technically, or maybe it's tomorrow. Technically, it's in its crone phase. It's hard to know. Look, when the moon turns full in the midnight hour, then if you're staying up like that, it's looking full, right? And so it's kind of this, I don't know, it's almost like a Degas moment, where you've got one piece of the full moon beginning, and then it continues on in the next few hours. But then by the time it's midnight again for tonight and into tomorrow, now you're in the crone phase. So right now we're still in the mother phase of the full moon. And let that illumination go out, stand under the full moon, raise your arms in supplication, and draw down the lunar energies, the full moon energies, goddess presence, into your awareness, and allow it to reveal things. The full moon illuminates things. It gets rid of, any deceptions, they're all revealed. Any of that nonsense, the ego stuff, is all revealed. Let that happen. Sit there in meditation and let that happen for you. Even if you've got clouds in front of the moon, you can't see it. It's there. Even if you stay inside, it's there. And let that awakening happen here over the next, over the rest of today and into tonight. And then even tomorrow, the crone phase, it's the reflective phase of the full moon, where it's my phase, the crone's phase, where you know what you know, and you know what the truth is, and let Hagalaz transform your perceptions, and use that energy as a doorway into new experiences. In other words, the via of it, the new path, the new way, the new door, in the new journey that you could take. and let go of perceptions that no longer serve. Let go of things that you know just aren't right. You've been thinking about things in a certain way. It's like, no, I don't think so. And you realize in that moment, that transformative Hagalas moment, that that's really what's going on here. And you're awakening to the fundamental truth of either who you are or of what's really going on around you in your life, right? If you want to get it in a more mundane view here, it's what's going on in your life, and it's all being illuminated by the full moon. So this is an interesting reading to have at this time. Really, I think that it dovetails really well with the full moon energies we're experiencing right now. The little penumbral lunar eclipse was fuzzy, and it just sort of made the edges of the moon less defined, is all that it did. But it's still there's a passage there. The earth, it's still an integral, or an integration maybe, between the sun, the moon, and the earth, right? And I think it's just a way of really transforming how you see things, and what your beliefs are, about something. So again, especially if there's something that's been nagging at you and you're just not clear on it, this could be a time where you could achieve that clarity, and doors can then open, and you can manifest your new life, your new path, your new awareness, and see what it's all about. This is in the infancy of it. It's not something that's necessarily manifested. He's still waiting for that. Right? He's gone through that doorway. He's taken that new direction that he chose in the 2. And now in the 3, he's waiting. So there's a level of observation here. There's a level of just being patient and waiting for inspiration to hit you. And because it's going to. This is the time for it, especially during a full moon like it is now. So kind of an interesting reading for today. Excuse me. We've got a lot of pollen in the air. Since we were out last night, it was just hitting us. So anyway, I don't know. It's kind of fun when things sort of dovetail together, don't you think? I do anyway. I kind of get excited about stuff like that. And so I think what I'm going to do today then is kind of think about things and where my life is going, and where I can make improvements, and where I can transform things and see things maybe a little bit differently. I think we get involved in stuff that we don't need to be involved in. We can observe it, see it, and let go of it and move on. It doesn't have to constantly be in our thought patterns, and we don't need to hang on to that. We don't need to keep stepping back into that timeline, essentially, if you want to call it that. And we can create our own that actually is more satisfying and is more to our liking, really. And this may be a time for that. There's just been so much struggle and turmoil over the last, since, I don't know, 8 years maybe now. And trying to figure out, I guess, I think probably a lot of us already know that some of that stuff was just nonsense, and it's still continuing. And so we're all clear on what that is, but there's some of the people that don't see it that way. And maybe this is a time for them to rethink some of that, and to see it for the divisiveness and the destructiveness that it's caused, and to get back on track, one that's collective in nature. And it doesn't mean, I've said this before, it doesn't mean we're always going to agree, but at least we know we're headed in the same direction. And right now it doesn't feel like that's what's happening. And I think that's been exhausting for a lot of people. COVID was exhausting. It's still exhausting because COVID is still here. And we did not come together in a way to make that be something else, to just let the thing burn out and then it's not affecting anybody anymore. That's not what happened in this world. Instead, it was a struggle over, I'm not going to wear a mask because it impacts my freedom. Are you kidding? This was a pandemic, for Pete's sake. But see, people didn't get that. They saw it differently. And unfortunately, the damage was done. And it's very tough for them to see it any other way now. There was nobody in charge that could give them that perspective and say, this is how it is, guys. You know, I'm wearing a mask, we're all going to wear one, right? And but and it's still being discussed, right? It's still being argued about, and with doctors just shaking their heads, going, "Oh wow!" But even with them, some of them were they don't really understand the nature of this, and so we've had all of this stuff that we've had to deal with, and it's almost like it's, well, not almost. I think it's just too much. I think it's too much for the psyche. I think it's too much for the nervous system to have to contend with continually, you know, all this drama, basically. I don't think we were meant to live in drama like that. I think we were meant to have the soul realize, hey, I'm the one driving the ship here, and I'm going to decide where we're going to go. And you know, this is the theme I came in here to do, and now we're going to do it. So I think we get off track. I think we get caught up, and I think that's the ego doing it. And I think what Hagalaz is suggesting in Vaya is that we can transform that and transmute ego into spirit and move forward in a different way. And again, I think that when we do that, there's a new path that can open, new opportunities can happen. Even if it's not something that's money involved, you know, lucrative involved. It's not, even if it's just thinking new ideas and being drawn to other people that are sharing those ideas and having conversations about them and exploring them with other people, or even just exploring them on your own. But generally speaking, then you want to talk about it with people, right? But I think that's, we have to get there, and we can't be constantly distracted by the drama that's going on. It goes on every single day. I mean, the media makes sure that it's going on every single day because they're telling us about it. And then other media doesn't tell anybody about it, right? They create this whole other illusion that's not happening at all and expect their viewers to buy into it. So it's all of this stuff that's happening that's not truth-based. You know, it's about what sells, right? It's about how much money they can make. Well, then if that's all it's about for somebody, then they're going to do things that aren't right. And so it's a wake-up moment. Hagalaz is waking up. It's a wake-up moment that either we start down another path, or we're going to be in this morass of ego, of expressions of ego that only draw us down into these lower vibratory energies and into the drama of it all, instead of waking up to the beauty of the soul and being able to have the soul inform, or higher awareness inform, how we see things. You know, it neutralizes a lot of that reaction. Well, probably most of it, until you know, and then you make your decision, and then you move on to another type of experience. So you're continuing to grow and learn in a positive, higher vibratory way, right? As opposed to the ego way that we're all kind of being affected by right now, whether we're participating in it or not, right? We're still being affected by it. So, you know, allow this time of the full moon to transform your experiences, to transform your perceptions, and to draw down the energies of the mother moon, the goddess, the goddess presence into your life and into your awareness. Blessed be, right? Anyhow, thanks for watching. Everything that came out on the blog, let's see. Yeah, because we're Monday, aren't we? It came out last night, or it came out Sunday night at midnight. So the forecast, the daily correspondences for work and magic, and it's kind of an expanded version now, and so there's some new stuff on there. And then also the Exploring Tarot, because I discovered I actually have more to do. I went and I actually inventoried, and I have more. I haven't done everything. I thought I was getting to the end of this, but it'll be a little while longer on that. And so Exploring Tarot came out, and also the Astrological Overview, which is just kind of just a little cheat sheet of where everything is, all the planets are, and where the moon is each day, and what's in retrograde, what's out of bounds, all of that. So that's out, and I guess that's it. Check that out over on the blog at Stepping Aside. The web address there is imsteppingaside.com. If you forget, click on more below the video. This is more. Just click that, and a window will open up, and you'll see that and a bunch of other stuff there. You'll see the address for the website. Go check that out. I do post some of it over on Patreon, on Substack, and on Medium. if you happen to have like to read those sites. I'm on there. And I guess that's it. I don't think I have anything else to say. I think that, what is it, Palace? Is it Palace goes? No, no. Oh no, Mercury's going. No, yeah, Mercury's going retrograde on the 1st. There was one something. Where's my calendar here? Let me look at here. Oh, Palace enters retrograde on Friday. That's an interesting energy there, Palace. That's all about being able to understand the bigger picture and problem solving and all of that. So there might be a little issue with that for a while. But anyhow, check that stuff out. I'd love you to look at the blog and see what you think about that. And click subscribe here and come back again on Thursday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.